Welcome to XP Power. I've been following this organisation for a couple of years now, and it is interim results time. So I'm joined by Duncan, the CEO, and Jonathan, the FD. Let's start with you, Duncan, first of all. Just summarise generally those half-yearly results.
Well, we've had a very strong first half to 2015, record order intake, record revenues. We've added more resource in North America in sales and engineering to sort of drive future growth. And even with that extra resource added, we've produced record profit before tax. The only reason we don't have record earnings per share is that the tax rate's gone up as we flagged in February. But overall, we're very, very happy with a strong performance in quite volatile markets, geography to geography and sector to sector. We think we've grown quite nicely where growth seems to be difficult to get for a lot of companies at the moment.
We'll talk more about volatility geographically in a moment, but Jonathan, I have been out to your North American operation. I haven't been to Vietnam yet, but as far as margins are concerned, there's been some sort of movement there, and we're talking about involvement of Vietnam and North America in that.
Yeah, our gross margin dropped off very slightly from 49.8% in the first half of last year to 49.4% this year. And that's largely been because of the power supplies that we're now building in the Vietnam facility. Previously, we were only doing magnetics there. At the end of last year, we started doing the power supplies. And there are some start-up costs that have fed their way through in the first half of this year. We're not expecting that to continue as the volumes increase within the Vietnam facility. In addition, back in February, we highlighted that we'd be spending a bit more on engineering resource and sales resource, predominantly in North America, because that's been where historically we've been doing very well and there's some growth opportunities. And that's really important for the future growth of our business. But of course, there is a cost associated with that, and that's pulling back very slightly on the operating margins.
Duncan, you've always talked about this being geographically spread business. You're in different markets, which protects you. But there has been volatility, and volatility can affect your markets, can't it?
Yeah, well, actually, I think one of the benefits of having exposure to different markets is you can mitigate that volatility. But we have seen a lot of volatility. We've seen the US, which has been moving ahead quite strongly over the last couple of years, actually increased in the second half of last year. It went back in the first half of this year. Could be due to the strong dollar, we're not sure. And Europe, on the other hand, has done the opposite. So we had quite weak performance in Europe in the second half of last year, and that's come back really strongly in the first half of this year. And then basically, if we look sector to sector, we see a lot of other changes. We've seen the technology sector come back from the doldrums very, very strongly in the first half of this year. Industrial's a bit weaker, but there again, medical, which is less cyclical, very strong for us. That's now 32% of revenue, and that's grown again in the first half of this year. So overall, we've been able to ride through that volatility and produce some pretty good results.
Okay, well, we'll talk more about the future in a moment. But Jonathan, one of the good things about coming back to see you is I can test you on predictions as an FD that you make. And when we were talking last time, you were talking about using some of your balance sheet to make acquisitions. A little birdie tells me there may be some of that happening Korea way, South Korea.
You're right. We're pleased to announce that we have made an acquisition, a niche acquisition in South Korea. It's a company we knew well. It's someone who's been selling our product since 2008. But in May this year, we completed on acquiring a 51% controlling interest in that company. And South Korea is a very interesting market. It's got very good high-end industrials. It's got a good medical equipment manufacturers. So it's a place that we look forward to growing our business with.
I'll let you pick up there, Duncan, as well. What will South Korea bring you as a company?
Well, the other capability they have is they have very good engineering services. They have some technical people there who can actually take a power converter, add things to it to make it easier for the customer to implement that solution into their end product. So they bring not just distribution in a really interesting market, they've also got really good technical capabilities there as well.
Okay, opportunities there in Korea. Let's talk about opportunities over the next 6 months and maybe the year for XP Power as a whole. Putting you on the spot here, what's the prediction, Jonathan? And then I'll come back to you for a final conclusion, Duncan.
Well, we're very pleased with the first half results. And it's really more of the same. We're carrying on looking for acquisitions. We've got the strength in the balance sheet to do that, and we will continue to do so. But really, it's more of the same. The dollar's helping us, and we're looking to carry on growing the business as we have in the first half.
Duncan, from your perspective, more acquisitions, balance sheet obviously quite healthy. Is it all going to be acquisitions? Is it going to be non-organic growth, or are you going to grow your markets?
We've got good organic growth going on as well. We've had a lot of good new program wins. You can see that we're continuing to grow the top line. There's no reason why that shouldn't continue into the second half of this year.
Okay, Duncan, Jonathan, thank you very much for joining us at XP Power.
Thanks,
Thank
Nick.
you.